YouTube. So today for YouTuber I wanted to talk about doing versus being and that whole dichotomy there. So in the witchcraft community, Wicca community and everything, there's this big emphasis on in order to be a witch it is the doing of it that makes something. It is the you can't just be a witch in a way. You have to be doing witchcraft in order to get to doing the witchcraft part. If that makes sense. You have to do to be. And something that was brought up when the Wicca 101 class that I took, which was very, very interesting, was the idea that there are, within duality, it is not a evil or bad or feminine and male, it is more of a doing and a being. And if you think of that in signs of the elements, they are divided in that way. Which, when this is kind of explained to me, my mind was blown. I was like, oh my god, that's so true. So, if you think of fire, in the same way as you think of air, they have to be doing in order to exist. Fire must be burning. It's a chemical reaction. Something must be happening in order for fire to be. And air, while it does exist all the time, we as humans do not notice it unless it is doing. It has to be moving, blowing, twisting, it's in constant motion in order for breathing in and out. Air, for that matter, is doing. We wouldn't even think air at all. It wouldn't even exist in our brains if it wasn't for the motion, if it wasn't for the doing. On the other side, you have water and earth. Water can just be. It can do, it can move and be in motion, or it can just be steady in a pond, and you were to notice it. Earth is the same way, like the physical realm around me. I am just here. I don't actually have to be, a tree doesn't have to do anything, it just is. The earth doesn't have to do anything. Dirt, everything around doesn't really have to do anything. It just is there. It can be doing things, but most of the time that's from something else affecting it, but it can just be. And this really got me thinking too of the whole idea of why is witchcraft so much of a doing thing and a being, and why isn't it more of a balance of both? And I think that is something in my own path I've really had to take in consideration. I used to think I was very much of the more of a being energy, that I just am. I have no problem. I thought it was because of my solitary inclinations of wanting to just be by myself, just be in my own self, that is exactly what I was. I'm a being, constantly striving for a chance to just settle for a second, to be. On the opposite side, I am very much a doing energy. I am much more on the doing side of things. I am an air sign, and I must be in constant motion. I can be stagnant in the being. That's what I feel like. I feel like I'm in not motion. I don't feel like I'm embodying anything. I feel like I'm stuck. I am stuck. I'm forced. I am, like, limited in that sense. Not necessarily embodying or just taking in everything anyway. I am instead, like, stagnant in something and not actually making progress. Progress to me is a huge sign of whether or not I'm actually doing well in life. So I really have to struggle a lot with taking a minute and calming down and understanding that if I am being, then just being by itself, that's fine. I don't have to be doing all the time. And that really also makes me wonder about the whole idea, because I understand the concept of when people just call themselves a witch, but they're not actually doing any witchcraft, or people who say, yes, I'm of this path, but they're not doing anything with it. So you're like, are you really? It's like the same thing with writers, when they're like, because everyone's writing a book. You know, everyone is, has some idea that they've done, but are you actually writing it down? Are you actually trying to send it out and get it published? The doing makes it real, in so many things in life. But I have to wonder if that is a bit of a problem of our own society and within the witchcraft community in a sense, because while doing is true, it does push you forward. It does make you, the witchcraft makes you a witch, but there are also times when you can just be a witch. Like, I just am a witch. And I also kind of wonder, is there ever a time when I'm not being a witch? If I am always thinking, always putting thoughts out into the universe, always directing something, even subconsciously, aren't I, in a way, always kind of performing small magic? Aren't I always putting thoughts out into the universe and willing, in a way, for those things to come about, even if I'm not necessarily doing magic with a K, casting a spell, or putting my intention forward in a moment? Is that a small form of magic? Am I constantly doing just by being me, just by existing in life? And this is all one giant conjumble of a ramble here, because it is something I've been mulling this over in my head over and over and over again, the doing versus the being. And is there actually a thing that you are just being? Can you ever, as a human or a witch, just be a witch? I think you can in some respects. I think there is your natural neutral state where you're not thinking anymore. And I think your natural neutral state in a lot of ways can evolve and change. We do that with the unconscious habits that we form, whether that's the fact that we're breathing in and out, or how our thought process just goes naturally without us even really having to force it to go one way or another. So if we've changed our thought process to be of a more magical inclination towards how we're affecting the world, then maybe we have, by doing, we have affected our being state, and now our being state is, in a way, just being a witch. This is something I would love everyone's thoughts on it, especially because I constantly hear over and over again, to be a witch, the only thing you have to do is to do. There's really not, there's no guidelines morally or anything else like that. It's really just, do you do witchcraft? And so it is entirely defined by the doing. That is it. It's just, do you do the practices that we have? It's not how you do them or what rules you follow while you're doing them. It's just, do you do them? So witchcraft, in a way, is entirely done by doing, by action, by flow in that way. It is very, not at all defined by being. While with with Wicca, in a sense it's a religion, like that, other religions are very much by being. You just are a Christian, you are a Hindu, you do follow the Muslim faith. But are those also doings, or is it a set of beliefs that you embody, you are? Which makes witchcraft in itself, because witchcraft's not the religion, but the Wicca part of it really, Wicca and witchcraft, to people who follow Wicca, are in a lot of ways almost interchangeable, and that is because, again, there's not this rule book, there isn't this set of guidelines to be a Wicca, and with that, it makes just being, I think, hard, because it is entirely defined by doing. Which I guess you could say that of other religions as well, because to be a good Christian, you would follow these guidelines. If you're not following them, if you aren't doing the good things, you are not a Christian, supposedly. And of course, there's 100 different debates about what that is. So that is something I really have wondered a lot. Is there ever a time where I just am? Like, I would consider myself a writer. I am not right now writing, but I am a writer. I write on the regular. I'm being a writer right now because I just am one. Because in past times I have been writing on a current basis on a regular routine. Same thing future me, I intend to continue to keep writing. I am a writer. In the same way right now, am I doing anything witchy? I mean, I'm talking about a witchcraft subject, but am I just being a witch right now? Or are you only a witch when you're doing the witchy things? This is something that's very interesting to me. I don't know, it's like totally just a ramble, I guess, in a sense, but it really makes me wonder, is there ever a time when you just are? And at what point, and also those titles, because I think so many times people, we have this idea of like, what does the outer world see of us? Is there ever a time when I'm stepping out of line to claim a title? Like people all the time, like I felt for the longest time, had a really hard time claiming the title of writer, because I didn't feel I was that writer. I was an aspiring writer, aspiring this. And I had a very interesting teacher back in undergrad who was like, no, you write all the time. You are a writer. Start claiming it now. Start saying what you are. You're no longer in school for it. You're not like, you just are. You are a writer. So just say it. I'm a writer. And I wonder if witchcraft is the same. Do you just at some point go, no, I am a witch. It's not, I'm an aspiring witch, I'm a baby witch. There's not all these other things on top of it. It's just, I am a witch. Regardless if I haven't done a spell in a month, or if I haven't really thought about what the lunar cycle currently is at, or any of those things, I am still a witch. Or are you? See, this is the thought that's going back and forth in my head constantly. It's like, well, what is the being and what is the doing? Does the doing define the being? Is there ever a time where you can just be like the elements, water, earth, without the doing? A tree is still a tree if it's not moving. It's just a tree. But in the molecular level, it's not. It's constantly growing, taking in food, and doing all the things. See, this is the problem. There's always doing at underneath all the being. So, yeah. I am going around and around this in my head. I really don't know where this would end up or what this would do, but it is a very, it's a little meaty topic that I've been chewing on in my head for a while. I'm like, what is this constant back and forth and the doing and the being? What does that really mean? What is it doing? Am I just, is it a go around the circle? Is it a chicken or the egg thing type of deal where you just go round and round and round and you do and are at the same time? And I think that's kind of what it really all comes down to, is the fact that we as humans, I think in so many times are just always seeking to be, to be, to be. I will reach happiness when I am this rich. When I am rich. I will reach happiness when I am in love. I will reach happiness when I'm fit. And we forget a lot of times that those are not constant states. That there is no being in those statements. Someone is rich by constant vigilance of working towards their money and of good opportunity. They put work in to earn that money, and they have to continue to work to keep that money. It is a conscious effort to save and to keep that stuff. Same thing with love. Love is not a thing that you achieve and then you stop going for. You are always working towards being more loving. When you forget to do those things, or relationships die and they fail. Same thing with fitness. You stop working out, you stop eating well, that fitness that you gained and worked so hard for is going to go right out the window. So I kind of wonder if witchcraft is of the same way, like the same way you come into it and you're so excited and you just have all this energy you throw into it and you're like, yes, and then it wanes for a bit. And you have to find a way to pick up and keep going and keep pushing and keep improving yourself. Forward, forward, forward. Or backward. Or sideways. Whatever way you want to go. So that's what I think is so funny, is that it's by the doing that you are being something. It is back and forth. And maybe that's what the whole story of the goddess and the god is supposed to teach us, is it is a constant motion. It is a constant cycling and a recycling and everything else that to do you have to be, and to be you must do. So those are my crazy thoughts on the doing and the being of witchcraft and all that nonsense. This is Youtober, so I'm doing a new video every day this month. So that's basically my thoughts on that. I will see you guys tomorrow. If you have any weird comments about my lovely little ramble here, comment down below. I'm all about it. Because this is definitely something that just, it makes my head spin but in a good way, in a happy, fizzy, bubbly way. I'm all about it. Alright, see you tomorrow, guys.